All right, let's do this. All right. Yeah, man. I know that I was supposed to go live earlier, but as usual, I am about 6 hours later than I want to be. All right. So let's see if we can go on and make this work. Okay, I think I got that working. Hey, this is like the first time in a long time that I used um my my uh, Zoom and my YouTube together. So that's pretty cool. Well, I guess I better not stay on it too long because I'll be probably messing it up again. So let me see if I can make this work. Man, this is crazy. It's like I'm technology deficient here, but I'm gonna. Oh, okay, it's working. All right, let's do this. Man, this is gonna be interesting. All right, so my whole game plan is get this knocked out and have something nice, clean, crisp um, presentation for you and all of that. And hopefully that you like it. Okay. Hopefully it's something that comes out good and save me a lot of headache from trying to edit and all that good stuff. All right, so check it out. Let's go ahead and because I'm probably going to pop off screen, I'm going to go ahead and find what I want to share, and then we'll be able to rock and roll. All right. Let's see if we can find. Mm, I think I found it. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and share that. Well, you know what? I don't know if you ever had a chance to look at my. If you ever had a chance to. So anyway, look, I'm Coach Rashid, and I'm going to show you how to launch your career, your new journey, if you will, into this era of blockchain technology, which we're talking about is tokenization. And even though our focus is on real estate tokenization, we actually expand that in my blockchain speaks, where right now the hottest topic is when are they going to pass the Clarity Act, right? And then there's a lot of talk. I mean, a lot of talk where XRP is really involved in that conversation with the government and the US government. And obviously Coinbase is involved as well. And so many great topics when we get into that, but I'm gonna have to do a separate talk about the state of crypto and blockchain and tokenization and that transition to adoption that's been going on for a few years now. But I think it looks like we're gonna get some guardrails around crypto and how that adoption works. And if the government doesn't do it in a regulatory side, then guess what? Jamie Dimon is already on it. Fidelity is already kicked off their stable coins. We got Kraken in there that's doing their part. Um, SoFi is a leader in this space, and they're about to kick off and launch their own token as well. And I can go on and on and on. So there are a lot of aspects, a lot of categories under the real world asset umbrella, but we're really going to focus on the leader in asset tokenization that's happening today, the most popular, the most active, and literally the agency that's leading the charge when it comes to real world asset tokenization, right? Because we're starting with real estate, but I could see in the future an expansion of categories that will cover literally a lot of the real world assets that can be tokenized. Because there's no reason to stop at real estate. You can start at real estate and then you can enter into art, you can enter into multiple areas. And we know that with the US government and all of the things around that, you got NASDAQ that's tokenizing stocks, and you have Robinhood, you have Coinbase, and Gemini and Kraken. You have all of these that are big players when it comes to asset tokenization, which more is along gold and silver, and then you have the stocks and you have all those things. So that's why I said it's just really broad. We definitely have to do that on another call. But today we're going to focus on the real estate tokenization with the leading platform that if you follow me anywhere on social media, it's all about this one particular company. So I want to kick it off and really show you why this is the one-stop shop for your financial journey that will take you on the wave of wealth all the way to the place that you've been looking for, where you wanted to go, the dreams and the nightly, sweats about, man, is this going to work? Is this going to work? Is this going to work? And guess what? Now you have arrived at the place that will give you that level of confidence, and it will give you that comfort in knowing that things are working out the way it's supposed to. Believe me, it is a refreshing feeling to be in the driver's seat of your financial future. All right, so let's get it on. Yeah, I was supposed to go live earlier this morning. So if anybody decides that they want to jump on my YouTube channel and check out, the things that's going on, appreciate that. Um, if not, then I'm going to make sure this gets recorded and um, we'll go ahead and make that work. All right. So with that being said, um, yeah, I guess I have to do that, right? So at this juncture, we are going to focus on the platform that we call e-estate. And that platform has been a catalyst for all the things that I've looked at, that I've learned about, that I have been, challenged with, but believe that there is a better day. There is something that works. There is an evolution of blockchain technology. There's an evolution of crypto. There's an adoption that's happening over the last 4 or 5 years that I have been involved. And that was the beautiful thing, is to see and to be a part of something that actually is a culmination of what I believe would happen, but just didn't know when and where it would happen. So that's really, really incredible. And that's why I take the time and I come on and I really like to have these conversations with, the audience that may see it now or may see it later. But at the end of the day, I just want to give you something to definitely to think about, something that you can take back with you and review over and over and over. That's why I do the recording. I go live because there may be some people out there that say, I got a quick question, and then you post it up, and I'll be able to address that. So feel free to do that in the YouTube channel. And if you do have access to this link, then you can jump on the Zoom as well. So it's all good. But at the end of the day, what I want to do, without any hype, without any of that, hoorah, this is just me telling you from, the inners of my being, that I am thrilled, to just have an opportunity to be part of something so powerful. Been in this game for a while. And so this really is a good feeling to be able to come to you with this, right? So I'm looking at my hat and it feels like it's a little crooked. So that's why I'm like, oh man, that's crazy. So if my hat's crooked, hey, apologize, don't beat me up about it. We're gonna give you the goods so you won't even notice I got a hat on. But in a minute, I'm gonna jump off anyway. All right, so let's go over here and take a quick look at this particular WhatsApp. I don't want to look at WhatsApp. I want to go to because I wanted to go to the Telegram group because there's a lot of good information in the Telegram group. And so that's really what my game plan was, is to just kind of give you a little bit of that. All right. And then we'll be able to go ahead and jump into this exciting presentation that we have for you today. I don't know if, okay, yeah, that's what's up right there. Yeah. All right. So I think we're good to go with that. All right. So, hey, check it out. You know what? We're going to bypass all that other stuff. But yeah, there is access to the Telegram groups. There's about 3 official Telegram groups. Then I have my Telegram groups, one specifically for digital real estate, and then I have others that are for just personal things and different projects that we've been around for years. And so if you've been part of my community, then you know that there's a lot out there, but I show you this is what works and this is what we're doing today, and we're going to keep doing this moving forward. So I want to go ahead and kick this off, present and just an amazing opportunity for those that are looking to level up, those that want something that is quality, something that stand the test of time. And we're actually going into our 1 year anniversary with the launch of this platform. So that's pretty exciting in itself, right? Um, and one of the things that you see this prompt, right? This one prompt right here that we're gonna kick it off with, which I really appreciate. My good friend Vaughn. Vaughn is he's one of the strategic partners with the digital real estate membership and e-estates, and he's on Unlimited Freedom. So you check out his YouTube channel. Really powerful, really strong in this space. He's been here since the beginning, and he has committed to really taking this to the next level. And so he's on all the time, live streaming, doing his thing. So I was listening to his live stream, and he had this really interesting hip hop intro, and I was like, wow, right? It was, man, I had to just keep listening. I was like, man, that's pretty nice. So um, I said, I want to see if there's a way. I didn't want to take that and use that, but I said, there's got to be something. AI is obviously pretty prevalent. So I said, let me find AI app that might do something like that for me, because I don't have the facility to do the music and all the hip hop stuff. And I was like, man, but it sounded really good. So I went on and produced one. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you think it's decent. I mean, is it okay? Is it something that I need to maybe do something different? I mean, just kind of give me some feedback when you hear this intro and see if it's something that works. In addition to that, the picture itself is from the Miami summit that we did back in January, February timeframe, since it was like the 31st and the 1st. And so this is where that comes from. So I had a good time, exciting time. I was literally looking for my speech intro, my big, right when I got ready to start my speech in Miami, and when I went on stage, and my good friend Lambo Drew literally came up and just really saluted me, like just, I mean, it meant the world to me that a good friend like that would come up and say, man, just I'm here to support you, knock this thing out. I mean, it was so powerful. Didn't see that coming, so really appreciate that brother is amazing. So you definitely want to check out the Leverage Show when you get a chance. um Tuesday and Thursdays, 5 o'clock PST, on YouTube. So it's powerful stuff. Really a good guy. Really love him for what he does for the community as well. And I definitely want you guys to enjoy this particular presentation. And I want to kick it off like this. All right, let's go. Okay, it's going to take us to YouTube. That's not what I was hoping for, but it did. So we roll with it. All right, we'll work with that. I didn't see that coming, guys. If you want to get your real estate game on, turn your attention to the industry that's the most strong. All right, let's do it like this. Like I said, I didn't know it was going to go over here. Let's kick it off from the top. This is live, man. This is how live works. Let's go.
If you want to get your real estate game on, turn your attention to the industry that's the most strong. Yeah. Yeah. Scrolling through listings, I'm scrolling through plays. They talking opinions, I'm talking in pay. Luxury villas, condos, I'm running away. Cash flow season, got them for days. Still on screen, but I'm reading the block. Cap rate hitting like a watch full of rocks. I'm chasing views and I'm not broken. Click after click, I'm collecting NC tokens. Yeah. If you want to get your real estate game on, turn your attention to the industry that's the most strong. Buy low with crypto, let the rent pay on and on. Turn your attention to the industry that's the most strong. If you want to get your real estate game on, shift yours from the flexing to the proof. Stack tokens, stack shares, that goes long. Turn your attention to the industry that's the most strong. Yeah. Yeah, crypto hack on point, EA stay paying my share. No worry about long cat, the numbers are there. They flashing labels on, flashing the square. Line on the contract, my name right there. Tokenization replacing my bread. Just daily profits and daily handstead. Premium properties on the blockchain. Keep me investing ahead of the game. Whoa, if you wanna get your real estate game on, let's go. Turn your attention to the industry that the most strong. Buy low with crypto, let the villa pay on. Turn your attention to the industry that's the most strong. If you wanna get your real estate game on, shift yours from the flexing to the proof. Stack tokens, stack shares, that goes long. Turn your attention to the industry that's the most strong. Yeah, yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yo. Yeah, that's what's up. Interesting as it may seem, when I sit here, I'm wondering if did I have that? Anyway, look, all I know is if I would have used my other app, then I would have, been smooth transition. But with this app, yeah, it's a challenge for me to make this work. All right, because I'm trying my best to use these particular platforms, apps like Zoom, YouTube, trying to get those out there. And when I go live, it gets kind of weird because yeah, these type of things can happen, and that could be a challenge for us. So we're going to go ahead and push through and get you guys introduced to this incredible opportunity that we call e-estate. So let's go. When I talk about e-estates and over time, I listen to Anthony DeLoach. I listen to Daryl Porter. I've listened to Brandon Ivy. I'm listening to, Charles Dyson, the Kellys. I'm listening to Marnita Casa. I'm listening to Unlimited Freedom. I mean, everybody is just crushing it, right? And and I learned so much, from these other leaders that are really putting it down like that. And so when they present and they have, these different ways that they explain what's happening in the industry, I sit there and I said, wow. And I'm gonna tell you what hit me recently was that I was working with AI, and which I do a lot actually. I'm glad that Anthony Loach turned me on to AI, and now it's like, dude, I can't stop. But it helps, right? It's that assistant that you need to do things that maybe you're not as good at or takes you forever to get done. Well, guess what? AI changes that, right? It really puts you in the driver's seat. And so I was trying to figure out what is something that I've used, what have I, kind of used in my 5, 6 years of blockchain, sessions and teachings and YouTube and everything, right? And so as I asked that question, it came back and it was talking about, this new wave, this new era, this new wave was always kind of a consistent thing. And I was like, huh, new wave, right? So I was thinking like, this is the wave of wealth. This is literally, when we catch this wave, which is crypto adoption, right? Blockchain evolution into tokenization to bridge the gap between TradeFi and DeFi, then to me, right, it's a massive, massive move for industry. Talking institutional, finance, stocks, bonds, Department of Treasury, securities, all that kind of stuff, NASDAQ. These are massive, massive movers. And so when we talk about tokenization, we literally always reference, the top voices, and the top voice is Larry Fink with the largest asset management company in the world with over $10 trillion. I mean, it's crazy, right? So that wave of wealth, to me, that wave, it feels like it's like a tsunami, right? It's not, it's like it's bigger than a river, right? And so I was like, man, this thing is massive. So that's where that kind of comes from, just to kind of get some background on the wave of wealth. So when you hear me say wave of wealth, I'm thinking of like that, when a surfer is looking for that big wave, the surfer is really wanting that massive wave so they can, do that, whatever the terms are. I don't know anything about surfing, but I know they want to catch that big wave, right? And so when they catch that big wave, then that's success, right? That's the ultimate. And I believe tokenization is ushering in that wave of wealth. And people talk about positioning, and I talk about positioning a lot as well. And so if you're going to catch that wave of wealth, then you got to be ready to catch that wave, right? If you're a surfer, you got to be ready to catch that wave. And this wave is being ushered in by e-estates, right? And so this is why, being a senior agent with e-estates, I am thrilled, right, to be able to get that information that really solidifies my belief in what these guys are doing and ushering in this wave of wealth where all of us can get in position and figure out how to get on that surfboard and ride this wave, because we're not going to get crushed by the wave. We're going to ride the wave, and we're going to receive our portion of this wealth transfer. You just got to get in the game and fund your account. That's a topic that I'll get into on the training side. But, if you've been in this for a while, you know that a lot of people, they like to take the first step and then they want to know everything about crypto, blockchain, tokenization, real estate. But they don't literally show up for the for the trainings in order to learn that stuff, and so action doesn't get taken beyond that. So we appreciate anybody and everybody that takes the time to listen to a presentation, to get that information, to get that initial rush, but then you have to follow up, because you might not be the one riding the wave. You're going to get crushed by the wave, and you'll see your partners, your friends, your colleagues that told you about tokenization, told you about real world assets and tokenization and real estate and where it's going, and they're riding the wave because they're in position to receive their portion of this wealth transfer. And you can be too if you take right action. So, with that being said, we are really about to go in. E-estate is a tokenized real estate platform. This is the future of real estate. It is a new era, right? So we're going to talk about fractional ownership. We're going to talk about global access, blockchain based, and secure transactions. I'm Coach Rashid Hill. That is me. Yes, I've been agent of the month probably 5 times in 8 months, and it's pretty exciting to be recognized. But I'm not in it for that. I'm in it because I saw an opportunity that I could help so many people in my community with what eStates was offering. It took me a couple of months, right? And I don't want to go too deep because I want you to understand the platform, not necessarily about me, because most people already know me. I've been on YouTube, I've been out there. So you already kind of know my story. But just for those that are new, because in e-estates, I had literally have reached out to people that I really hadn't worked with before. And so they, if you're watching, if you do get a chance to see the recording, then yes, you may not know much about my story. And so I will just give you a little bit of that. Um, Been in this space, like I said, since about 2000, see, 18, 19, something like this, and started out just like pretty much a whole lot of folks. Crypto around 2018, 17, 18. Yeah, it was, I can't remember exactly, but it's been around that time frame with like Cash FX, OneCoin, stuff like this. But as far as networking, the marketing type things, that goes way back to ACN. Like if you listen to or talk to anybody, ACN is a legendary network marketing company. They revolutionized, the telecom, and brought it into the networking space, and they are still going on to this day. So it's literally been out there for about 20 years. That's big for a network marketing company. And Legal Shield is another one. They were what was it called back in the day? Um, Prepaid legal. So I've been involved with them. I was using their services, and then I became an agent, and then just been using the service, for forever, literally. A lot of changes, but it's still strong. It's one of the strongest, programs out there that will really help people in need. If you need legal assistance and ID, protection, Legal Shield is definitely a great platform for that. So that's some of the things, that I've been involved in. So it's been that, so I'm just saying, as far as it's been a lot of years, I've been in the kind of the alternative income space. As far as crypto, around 2018 or so, and really start looking at in 2020, I start looking at during the pandemic, where is this going, right? I see the crypto piece. I hear Bitcoin. I don't fully get it because I wasn't really involved in that much, but I wanted to understand because basically pandemic, everybody's at home, teleworking. And so I dove into blockchain because I wanted to understand what was behind Bitcoin, right? And when we hear, for instance, this is kind of key intersection. When you hear Anthony Deloge, Brandon Ivy, them, when they talk about the river of money and where is it flowing, right? Um, those are some of the things that caught my attention because when I look back, I was looking at crypto and then everybody was talking about Bitcoin. And I'd say, well, I mean, I don't fully get what the excitement is about Bitcoin. And it just didn't really resonate with me. But then when I followed the price, I was like, huh, it goes up and it comes back down. Then it goes back up, comes back down. I said, man, but every time it went back up, it went up higher, year after year. So the first crypto company I got involved with was comparing their crypto to Bitcoin and was saying what they were doing is the future and what Bitcoin was kind of it was past, right? So I kind of bought into that. And now obviously I know better, but at that time Bitcoin was about between $3,000 and $5,000. And they were saying, no, 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 this is the one, which was one coin, by the way. And so they pitched one coin in their blockchain in the euro, and you could see all this stuff. But as time went on, fast forward, I looked at Bitcoin and I said, wait a minute, this makes sense, right? And I said, if it does what it's going to do again by the end of 2020, I need to have at least one Bitcoin. Everybody has a Bitcoin story. So this is kind of where my entry into the reality of crypto and where it was going, um, and the mistakes I made, right? Because none of us are perfect. There are some things we do right, some things we just make those bad decisions, right? Because I wasn't educated enough on it. I was just doing this on my own. And when I did see that Bitcoin, I said, this is the year that I get me at least one Bitcoin because I saw it go up, come back down, go up, come back down. And I'm like, it's going back down. I got to get it because by the end of the year, it's going to go back up. Well, when it got down to about 4,500, about a month after my daughter was born, that's how I remember this. I said I was going to do it. Well, I bought some Bitcoin, but I didn't buy a whole Bitcoin. Now, a lot of people didn't even think about it. Wasn't even on their radar. By the end of 2020, I was teaching people. I was later on Facebook doing sessions, Facebook Lives. Me and a couple other people, we were like doing sessions on, Bitcoin, crypto, just really educating people on the basics, right? And then I start talking about institutional direction because that to me made sense. So I'm looking at it from this is crypto, this is Bitcoin, but there's something behind it that's going to outlast this. And so blockchain became my focus. And so as I studied, the blockchain piece, literally by the end of the year, yes, Bitcoin shot back up. And I think that year, I think it went to like 17,000, right? Then by March of the 2021, I think it hit like 50,000 or something like this. No, I did not buy my one Bitcoin. That's, that's my story. And it's unfortunate, but that's what happened. Um, but there's so many other, things I can kind of add to that, but I don't want to go on and on about that. Just wanted to give you a little background on kind of how I got into crypto, Bitcoin story. Like I said, everybody's got one. And I did focus on blockchain. This is important because when I focused on the blockchain and what that meant to industry, and I said, wait a minute, if these guys aren't looking at the coins, but they're looking at blockchain and bringing that into their business, if we learned of blockchain because of crypto, then it makes sense that the industry, financial industry, is looking at it to do the same thing. They're not going to replace fiat currency or money. It's just going to kind of go alongside, for some time. So if that's the case, then they're eventually going to create their own type of crypto. Didn't there was not a word stable coin, there was not a CBDC. None of that was happening in 2021 as far as on the public side. So those weren't even terms, right? But understanding that MicroStrategy, Galaxy Digital, these were companies that were preaching the gospel, if you will, about Bitcoin and where it was going. So when Michael Saylor, CEO of Strategy, he was like, y'all don't understand. And he just kept buying, 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 right? I'm talking billions of dollars he's buying basically to support the assets under management for his clients. And this was before Bitcoin was even cool or acceptable in that industry at that level, Fortune 500 types. So that was kind of interesting to see that evolution. But then time goes on and you start to hear about tokenization. How did I hear about tokenization? Was with a company called Saphir and Zanik. They were focused on tokenization. So after I had some bumps and bruises with learning how crypto investment online works, I finally got involved with one that did work. And they were focused on tokenization, right? And they were talking about tokenizing everything. I'm talking tokenizing climate credits, right? You know how there's climate credits for like China because of the pollution. They're like, look, our industries run, and the byproduct of that is black smoke. And so airplanes, jet fuel, black smoke, right? And it's killing the ozone layer and so on and so forth. So government said, look, this is what we'll do. You pay your carbon credits, you pay for the carbon credits, and you can keep polluting basically. Well, here's what's interesting about that. If you're paying carbon credits in the millions and millions, where's that money going? Because we still got pollution and they're paying for nothing. So somebody figured out we can trade carbon credits. How do you trade carbon credits? You tokenize them, right? So when you figure out that you could tokenize anything, game changer. And this is what the industry did. I was talking about this in 2020 and 2021 about tokenization of the Amazon and so many things on Amazon. Land, that was a big piece of that. Carbon credits and climate change was a big topic for that particular company that I was continually like learning about, reading about tokens and everything. And that's what the big deal was tokenizing the land in the rainforest so they wouldn't chop down the trees and do all of the um, clearing, right, where they didn't grow back. And so that was a problem. And so these are just some of the things that led me into this tokenization and how I got so excited about the current platform called eEstate. I didn't realize for a couple of months that eEstate was doing something that I literally was excited about a few years back, but just did not see anybody else doing it the way it needed to be done or the right way. And so I basically had pulled out and I did what everybody else in this space did. Jumped on a trading platform and thought I was going to be, you know, retired in no time. And I basically got retired from doing any of that stuff. Um, I guess you could say I got tired of doing that stuff because it's a tough place to be when you're in this industry because you see so many of the failures of good people, maybe decent people, but the platforms just don't last. And I'll talk a little bit about that and give you a comparison in the presentation here. So to kind of close, like I said, this is why I don't like to go into my story because it's a lot of things that connect to tokenization and the real world assets. Um, but that's kind of what led me into this. And I really, I took some courses in blockchain as a service. I wanted to really know what was going on, and I followed a lot of the Yahoo Finance, a lot of good information, CNBC, you know, these business channels, just really trying to see who's talking about blockchain, who's talking about where it's going, all these kind of things. And that's really what kept me locked in. And like I said, 2026 hits, and I mean 2025 hits, and I get a message from my sponsor now, which is Martin McLean out of the UK. And Telegram is notorious for people are going to hit you up for every program in the world, right? If you've been there, that that's what it's all about. Blue Sky, what's good? What's good? I see you. Thank you for coming and checking it out. Um, but yeah, as time goes on, Telegram is that place where it seems like the whole world goes to pitch something to you, right? And so you just got to be careful and know how to navigate that if you're ever on Telegram. But at the end of the day, it's a good place to find. And if you can weed out some of the bad stuff, you're going to find some really good stuff. And that's really what happened. I was weeding out the bad stuff. And I do that often because I want to know what's out there so that I can warn my community about the things that don't work. But at the same time, when we do have something that works, then all the bad stuff that happened, now we have an opportunity to go ahead and recover from a lot of that. And that's what e-estates really clicked to me when I did sit down and say, after a couple of months, I said, okay, let me look at this thing. And Martin McLean, I mean, just an amazing guy. He literally was like, let me just follow up. I mean, he did everything that a real seasoned, a marketer would do. He was patient, and I respect that. I really respect him for that. And he is an absolute leader. He is the top producer, top earner in this particular program, and so I learned a lot from him. But one of the key things was after that couple of months, he really helped me to get started, to understand the platform, to really understand that it's more powerful than I thought. And I did not dig in. Watched Anthony Deloach to get a good understanding of the presentation, to really get a good, feel for it. How I like to do my own presentation. So I had to learn the presentation first. And when I did focus on that, it became more clear to me, this right here is the game changer that I've been looking for. And everything else took a second and third seat. And I focused only on estate. And I will continue to do that because of what it delivers, and it continues to deliver on so many levels. So I am definitely going to move on for at this point because I don't want to talk about, my stuff that much. But these are some of the things that I want, the people that don't know or didn't understand or really hadn't, you know, learned a lot about me or hear me talk about, things that I've been through to get to this point. Just want you to know that this is definitely something that is a culmination of all the trial and errors, all the good stuff, the bad stuff, everything, the technologies that I study. This is really where it was headed. And I'm so excited to be with this particular leading organization in this space today. That being said, yes, had an opportunity to bring on some powerful people, non-crypto people, I might add, and I say that with sincerity because what happens, and this is transparency. What happens in this space when you're a builder, when you're an influencer, when you're out there and you put yourself out there, a lot of people will say, "Hey, let me see what you got going on." Right? So people follow you, they check you out, they may not join the program, but they will at least see what you're doing. As time goes on, um, when things aren't going as good, right? Because there's good programs and there's some bad. And so when those programs hit and things don't produce, then people tend to run away, right? Because they look at you and say, "Hey, I'm with you," but then, oh, it didn't work out. Oh, I'm gonna go and run and find somebody else to follow and then lose again. But at the end of the day, The only time you lose is when you quit. And so I just stepped back, regroup, and said, let's go. You know why? Because it wasn't about I I wasn't out here to say I can't do it without a team. I can't do it without lots of people. I can't do it without I was never a MLM guy. Have never been an MLM guy. So that's not how I roll. My purpose is, can I find a good platform that I personally believe in and can earn passive income from? Then, if it's good and it does what it says it's doing, then I do what I do. I have been on YouTube for a long time and I continue to be on YouTube, and I give you information so that if you're thinking like me, if you've been through what I've been through, you may be looking for the same thing. And thus, I put it out there for you to make that decision on your own. But I do not go out looking for people. I go out looking for great programs that people can benefit from. And I don't want to feel like on a selfish side of, okay, I got this and I don't care if anybody else gets it. Because I understand from a leadership perspective, the platforms cannot continue to grow unless they have volume, right? And that's just business, period. And so more people, more volume. But I'm only going to invite people through these methods when it's actually a legit setup that helps people and not take advantage of people, right? So people have the choice to either continue going down the road that they're going and they'll continue getting what they're getting, or you can make a change. But the decision is always yours. So in e-estates, I decided I had to rebuild my whole community. Why? Because I took a break in 2024 because too many bad actors were out there and I just did not want to continue dealing with that. So I stepped back and I allowed myself to say, I spend a lot of time away from family because I'm on these, Zooms. I was just really doing a lot. And so I had to take a step back and say, wait a minute. Like there's so many for every good program, there was one that would come out and be a bad program. And so I took a break in 2024. And by the end of 2024, I said, all right, let's see what we got. And I had people that I trust in the industry that said, hey, look, take a look at this. And this has been working for me. And so I got back in the game. Fast forward, bam, e-estates comes along. I did some due diligence. I reviewed, I did all of the things that we would do. And I looked at the quality people that were leading the charge. And when I saw Anthony DeLoach, when I saw Daryl Porter, Brandon Ivy wasn't in yet. And then I saw, like I said, Vaughn, Unlimited Freedom. And eventually you start to see the well-known industry leaders start to come on board. And I was like, whoa, this is real, like really real now. Right. And so to be one of the first to be contacted, I didn't sign on and I didn't do anything for literally like 2 months. But I went back and I looked and I said, wow, he did contact me in June, right? And so they launched in June, and the first contact was a bit around the beginning of June from my sponsor, and I said, "Wow, man, I kind of lost a few months there, but thank God, my first property that was purchased in August of 2025, it did mature. I did get 100% back as in profits. So that property, the LA villa that you'll see here soon, that property, I'm 100% in profit, and all I earn is profit off of that. No risk on that property at all. But I do have, about 10 properties. So with that first one, though, the 8 months went by, no hiccups. It is a beautiful thing, right? Every time we get into these programs, people want to know, when will I break even? When will I be in profit, reduce my risk? That has happened for many people, but it happened for me, and I put that out there on Facebook and so on and so forth. So it is working like a charm, and that's why I'm spending so much time really going over these things. But yes, I have closed over 100 deals with this particular program. I'm well beyond that now, but this was something that happened about a month or so ago. Now, I say all of that, right? And to transition into the actual presentation, I guess, we always talk about there's a wealth gap in real estate. Well, there's a wealth gap in building wealth, period. There's always going to be the haves and have-nots. If you have not watched, there's a video that Brandon Ivy did recently in one of his trainings, right? You know, he's an amazing trainer in this space. He did a training and he showed like the wealth gap in the US. And so when he showed that wealth gap, it was a graphic that showed, you know, this side is here and then it goes up, 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 right? And then on the far right side, you had the people that top 10% all the way up to the top 1%. Now, what was impressive to me and stuck with me, this wealth gap, it wasn't just real estate, it was wealth gap in everything. It's just a wealth gap in the US, period. Right? The low end was over here, and there was like a massive amount. I'm talking, this could have been at least 40% was like wealthy, straight wealthy, right? Then you had that 1%, which was at the top, and they didn't even have enough room for the 1% of the 1%. That was mind blowing to me because why would you not? I said, how do you not have enough room? So you're telling me that, let's say, and I forget the percentage, but let's just say there's a, you know, 50% are between under average and average, right? There's no above average, it's just under average and average. And then you have the wealthy people, and you're about 40% there. You're telling me that, yes, those numbers are there, but the bigger number was in the 1% of the 1% wealthy in the US. It was mind blowing to me that we know this stuff, but we don't really understand the magnitude of the wealth gap. It is crazy, right? And of course, when you look at the number of people in the US and you look at the number of people that are working 9 to 5, 8 to 6, whatever, 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 then you can kind of capture some of this in your head. But it is a magnificent thing when you see the graph and you're like, my gosh, the 1% of the 1% have all of the wealth and everybody else has got scraps. But if you look at a person on a day-to-day basis, and they're making over 150,000, they're doing pretty good. But on that graph, they're way down here, right? I understand this because I'm way down here and I'm doing really good. So so I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Like, but you know what? You can look at it and say there's a wealth gap and we suffer because we don't have the capital to get into the real real estate, the good stuff. We don't have access because we don't know the right people to even get access. And then two, the process is so slow because we're trying to search and get the right information and get the right access. All that plays against us, right? We can talk about redlining, we could talk about all those things, right? But at the end of the day, we definitely have a hill to climb. And so you can look at it as a mountain that you don't have the tools or the resources to climb up. And when the ice hits, you have on slippers and you don't have any boots. You don't have a rope. You don't have the hooks. You don't have any of that. And you don't have the experience. So it looks like a massive, massive problem that you can't overcome. But when you look at this graph, here's what I see. Oh my gosh, if I'm right here at the curvature, if you will, of the 10%, the you know, the millions and above, okay, if they're making $1 million and I'm over here making this, oh, let's go. Because that means that I got some work to do. And I'm energized. I'm excited. You know why? Because if I'm in this category over here, then I see that there's opportunity in that category. Like it ain't got nothing to do with race or nothing like that. It's just the fact that now my intelligence says this is a way to level the playing field. And if I can level the playing field, I'm intelligent enough to make it work. And when I make it work, I'm gonna make it work for a whole lot of other people. And instead of one person coming out of the mud, one person coming out of poverty, one person coming out of average or above average, we're all gonna be wealthy, rich, ultra wealthy. And if we can stay the course and bond together, we might get up to the top 10%. May not get to the one, but that's okay, right? Because really, 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 really successful people know no matter what year it is, no matter what planet you're on, the person that owns the most real estate, land, property is going to be the most wealthy. And guess what? E-Estates has opened the door for all of us to enjoy this benefit. It's a level playing field. How does that happen? Like I told you before, tokenization, right? Why does tokenization matter? Tokenization opens access to real estate assets, enhancing liquidity, right? Enhancing money that you can actually move and access, creating opportunities in a $16 trillion market. Yes, Boston Consulting Group says by the end of 2030 or by 2030, we're looking at a market that is a $16 trillion market. That's a lot of money. So when I talk about riding the wave of wealth, the tsunami that's coming, you can get prepared, get positioned so that you can receive your portion of that. $16 trillion, that's a big ocean. And all you got to do is ride the wave, and you are in position to make something from that. What helps with that? Regulation. Clarity Act, Genius Act. The Genius Act's already passed. So that says crypto is a real deal. Crypto is here and it ain't going nowhere. We're going to adopt it. This is what the administration says. The administration says, yes, we're going to adopt crypto. It's going to be part of the system. Now, banks, now crypto community, figure it out. That's where the Clarity Act comes in. What is the holdup with the Clarity Act? The Clarity Act is the part of the crypto bill that the US administration is pushing that says stable coins and DeFi will pay you a substantial yield on your staked crypto, right? If you have money in your savings account in the bank, they pay you. It's not even comparison, but I'm gonna give it to you anyway, because you guys know this. Y'all could, like Anthony says, put some hearts and hundreds in there. In this situation, right? You, if you're listening, then this is one of those moments where you would like say, "Yeah, we with you." If you got a savings account and you have money in there, even if you got 10,000 or more, you're still only going to get 0.01%. Maybe APR, APY, APY is the more appropriate. If you think that's okay, then okay, right? And it would be hard to believe that a country is lower than that, right? How do you get lower than 0.01%? Well, Japan found a way to do it. And they were paying people to put their money in the bank. Like, that's crazy, right? But it happened. That's how bad the situation has gotten. So why wouldn't there be somebody smart enough to say, we need an alternative way, an alternative payment system, alternative currency that does not have to go through what the government's putting us through now with fiat. And thus, Bitcoin was born. The white paper by Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever this person or entity is, created the first evolution of digital currency that we know as cryptocurrency. And here we are with tokenization, which is literally an advanced part of the evolution of blockchain technology in this space. And it is definitely ushering in tokenization, and we are excited about that. So when we say why tokenization matters, well, with the Genius Act and have regulation and have some form of rails on, this particular industry, we got to have, somebody that's kind of, watching the bad actors and making sure everybody's kind of playing in the same field. Then the banks are saying, if you allow crypto and their stable coins to continue earning, 4 or 5% APY, this is a problem. Look, when DeFi first hit, 5%, this was literally the minimum. When yield farming was popular, you could literally stake your crypto, put it into yield farming, and it would bear fruit on the levels of 2 to 3,000% a year versus 2 or 3% a year. But now with Coinbase and Gemini and Kraken and all these guys working closer with the mainstream, kind of government financial entities so they can kind of stay relevant, then they're trying to balance that out because they know it's just a gap that's so big that, traditional finance is just not going to play ball. So they're looking at it from hey, if we can allow you to do 2 to 3%, then we'll come up to at least 1 or 1 to 2%, right? So that's where the Clarity Act is having some challenges, and they say that they're going to pass it. The president has pushed them to pass it. There's a lot of people in Congress that's invested in this as well in two different ways that want it passed. So we are looking at and on the verge of cryptocurrency in a multiple forms, just being mainstream currency with U.S. dollars, paper money, and credit cards and cryptocurrency, all being just part of the solution for us on the financial side, right? There's a lot of agencies that are already involved. They already are using stablecoins to do settlements. They're using XRP as that base, as that crypto ledger for settlement. So tokenization is nothing new. It's been around, and it is going to continue to be here to usher in what we are benefiting from today and on into tomorrow. Why does it really matter, right? So institutional investors interest paints an exciting picture. Recent surveys show that 80% of high net worth investors and 67% of institutional investors already invest or plan to invest in tokenized assets. This is how it works, right? This is why we're here. BlackRock, real estate tokenization. When we say BlackRock, people are like, oh my gosh, what's going on? At the end of the day, Larry Fink basically says it's the future of ownership. Tokenization is the future of ownership, not part of it, not some of it, all of it. And Brian Armstrong says the same thing. So when BlackRock speaks, everybody listens. So we're gonna give you a little BlackRock, education, and see if that helps to explain where we're going with this. The future of ownership is fractional and digital. The rise of tokenized real estate marks a turning point in financial history. BlackRock's involvement as legitimacy, while securitized and city protocols technology, which is the one that did the report, provides the foundation for a decentralized, interoperable future. Together, they're ushering in a new era, one where ownership is no longer defined by paperwork and borders, but by transparent digital proof of stake. Kind of like my title of this particular Zoom or live stream, it is called Bricks and Bits, right? Bricks, which is obviously the traditional brick and mortar, and bytes or bits, which is code, right? You have bytes, right? Megabytes, kilobytes. So anyway, the code behind the actual contract. That's what we're really benefiting from with tokenization. In 2025 and beyond, right? The question isn't if tokenized real estate will dominate global markets, it's how fast it will. It's powerful stuff. So let's talk about unlocking global capital through fractional real estate. So I was listening to, like I said, doing the research and everything, and I came across this Indian guy talking about tokenization of land in their country. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I said, this is just another example of what we know is happening, like right now. And last time I hit this button, it went somewhere else and confused me. So I'm gonna try it again and let's see how it goes. It did it again. All right.
Tokenization of land assets. 50% of the assets owned by Indians is in the form of land, which is not tradable. You can't sell it. You can't take a loan against it. It's like an asset which is there, but you can't do anything with it. We believe that tokenization of land assets using a proper ledger and so on can unlock these things where you can tokenize every piece of land and then that can be traded very easily. Now, land assets are a state subject. So this will depend on individual states implementing tokenization and improving the quality of their registration, their property taxes, their title system, and so on. The number of things have to happen on each state. But as states realize the power of this, more states will tokenize. That will allow more and more people who own land to offer the land. They can either sell the land or they can get a loan against the land. And then they can get into starting a business. So this is another big unlock, which is tokenization of land assets.
See, powerful, powerful. Everybody's doing it. There is no shortage of people doing this incredible business and believing in it. That's what's so awesome. They are believing in it because it makes sense, right? So what I want to do is figure out how to get back to my presentation. That's what I'm trying to do. And let's see. All right. I think I got to stop share and then I'll go back in and that'll put me back in there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to use my StreamYard next time. Man, as much as I like you Zoom, but it's so much easier over there on the other platform. But anyway, unlocking global capital through fractional real estate. This is in India, like bam, everybody's doing it. This is not limited, like everybody's doing it. So what is tokenization, right? I mean, I've talked about it. I really didn't break down tokenization. So let me give you some insight real quick. Tokenization is the process of converting real estate asset ownership into digital tokens on the blockchain, enhancing accessibility and liquidity. So in essence, tokenization is taking a physical asset and tokenizing, basically breaking it up into shares so that it's more affordable for the everyday investor, and then putting it on the blockchain, right? The blockchain being the ledger that is immutable, that is secure, and that is what you call it, tracks better than anything else, right? It maintains the integrity of whatever it is that you put in there, right? So really, really good stuff. This is a great video about tokenization, but I don't want to go out and come back in. So we're gonna, move on. So who does this particular technology and do it in the best way? Let me introduce you to e-estate. So e-estate is revolutionizing the real estate market, combining cutting edge technology with access to real estate opportunities for everybody. When we talk about what is e-estates doing, this to me will give you the best comparison of this is traditional real estate and this is e-estate, right? So tokenized real estate is what e-estates does. This is what they brought to the industry and they did it right. They literally talked to marketers and influencers and people that are in the crypto and the tokenization space and said, how do we launch this and do it in the right way? And that is probably one of the most powerful things that it shows in the materials, especially when I was learning all about this and Anthony Deloach was doing presentations every single day. I was like, man, that's powerful. And he continues to do that to this day. And that's why he has such a powerful organization, is because he's committed to making it work and do it for so many people. And we really appreciate, what he does and how he's consistent like that. And like I said, there's a lot of great people. Daryl, I've been knowing Daryl Porter for, man, for some time. And so we all just really, like I said, it's just like it was meant for us to come together at this point, because we are working so good together and none of us are in each of our groups. We all have separate, sponsors and we all have separate organizations, but we come together and collaborate to make sure that we're producing the best information for our folks across the board. And so when we look at brick versus bit, right? Like I was telling you, bit or byte, we're talking about code, right? So you got the traditional side, which is your brick and mortar, your physical real estate, and then you have the bit or the byte, which is the code behind the contract, and that's the tokenized real estate. And so if you see this one right here, I'm not going to go through everything, but I want you to get a highlight of why ESAs is so powerful. And really, it's hard to compare apples to apples when you have one that just literally shines so much more brightly. If you're in traditional real estate, ain't mad at you. It's nothing wrong with being in real estate. It is a beautiful thing. And yes, you can become really wealthy and you have an appreciation, for when that person, when you find that house for that person, when that person, is passing, their credit reports and all this kind of stuff, you're excited. You get the house that they want. And when you give them that key, finish all the mortgage paperwork, which is a mountain. But when you give them that key, it is nothing like it. I mean, that is the greatest feeling in the world. I get that, right? But here's my thing. Even though that is amazing, at the same time, you have to see it for what it is, right? traditional real estate, high capital barrier. So if you're a property investor, it's one thing to be a real estate agent. It's one thing to be a broker. It's one thing to own that business and have agents working for you. That's cool. That's part of the fabric of the country. That is going to happen anyway. Look, I know a lot of people, like I said, from the Philippines that sell condos around the globe, and they are crushing it, right? So there is a need out there, and there will always be people that want to do that part. And hey, look, I'm happy to buy a few more condos and invest in those and rent them out. It's all good. But at the end of the day, I want to make money so that I can do those things, right? And so I would think that anybody that's listening to this would like to make the money and then have the choice of purchasing a physical property if you so desire, or just invest in physical properties through e-estate. That's the essence of this particular slide, right? You know that you're a property investor. You're looking at 50 to maybe 300,000 or a million, depending on the property, just to invest. And you got to be an accredited investor most of the time to even get involved. And even when you see something like Roots or you see something like something capital, associated capital, affiliated capital, there's a lot of big names behind these programs, but they're offering fractional real estate. But at the end of the day, they're asking you, for thousands of dollars just to get involved. And then they might pay you 9 to 15% a year, right? And then you get paid every quarter. So your funds are locked up. Literally, your profits are locked up for, at least 90 days. That doesn't happen with e-estates, right? So with the traditional side of property investment, then you're looking at a high capital entry, right? Maybe $300,000. Let's just say 100,000 to keep it at a decent number that we've seen numerous times. But with e-estates, you're talking $100 minimum. We have a $10 entry to our Miami property. That's how low we said, look, you can get in. We're not going to make a lot of money off of that because that's not the purpose, but it gives you a proof of concept that it works. And then you can, definitely level up and get involved with the, reasonable amount that you can see, yourself making good money. Then you got the liquidity aspect. This is the hardest part for me to understand why people would not opt for an e-estate option. Illiquid, 3 to 6 months minimum if you're talking about buying and selling, right? But what if you're just talking about investing in, like in Silicon Valley? A few years back, they tokenized a construction project, which was literally in a place where they have the highest like cost per square inch. It was crazy. And people were able to purchase those tokens, right, to help raise funds and to build this. 5 years, 5 years before they would see any return. And they said it was going to be about an 18% return in 5 years, which is literally 2026. So it's like, what? 5 years. So I said, okay, if 18% is what you're returning in 5 years, that means you're only paying me 3% a year. And my, 100,000 is locked up for 5 years. This is literally what happens, right? Then you have the e-estate model, liquid asset. You don't have to sell anything. The company can sell it, and then they will return your investment plus whatever profits you already earn, you keep. So the normal model with e-estates, right? And this is breaking down the actual business model as we talk about it. In e-estates, you purchase fractional ownership by purchasing the tokens, EST tokens, and within 24 hours, Monday through Friday, you will receive your first profit within 24 hours. Now, if it's a weekend, of course, it's going to be maybe 48 hours because you got to wait till Monday. But can you imagine going from a 5 year, which is a one case scenario, right? Some are 3 to 6 months. Let's just take the 3 months. Would you rather get paid every 24 hours, literally after you make your purchase, or wait 3 to 6 months before you saw any return? Come on, it's a no-brainer, right? Paper deed. Would you want to go through all that paperwork? If you own a house, you know what that was like. Well, try to rent a house. It doesn't matter. If you're purchasing physical property, you're going to go through all that paperwork. Yeah, the mortgage company, the stamps, the inspections, all of it. I got a rental house. Believe me, I understand. Ownership record is digital, immutable, on the blockchain. You don't have to do any paperwork. You get your contract, it's digital, right? You purchase your property, digital. You got your tokens, digital. And when you want to withdraw, guess what? It's digital. It's too easy. Management. Are you managing tenants, maintenance, taxes? Oh, I got to rent a property. I understand. But guess what? In e-estates, makes life a whole lot easier. Passive management. What is passive management? That means that I pass the management back to e-estates. Let e-estates handle the management, and you just make the money. There's really no gray area here. Transaction speed. We already know. Traditional real estate, 6 to 12 months to close. Purchase a property, invest in that property, and you wait. Let's say somebody gets in there and they start paying rent. If you paid $100,000 for that property and they're paying you $500 of rent per month, it's going to take a while before you break even. If you do that over here, the transaction speed, instant, near instant settlement. Settlements. What is a settlement? Settlement means when you get paid. Near instant. I'm gonna tell you. And if you look at my previous videos where I showed the withdrawal, I did a withdrawal. And when I went to look in my crypto wallet, it was already there. So you're talking 1 to 3 minutes most of the time, maybe 5 minutes. I'm just saying, instant. Yeah. So if you want to get paid for doing what you do within a few minutes, I think e-estates makes more sense. Now, let's say you are a real estate agent or a broker and you go and sell a physical property and you're getting 3 to 6%, right? Because you may have to split it with somebody. When do you get that money? Maybe 30 days? Can you last that long? Do you have some bills that you got to pay? Yeah, and statistics show, not me, statistics show that most agents out there don't sell a property every month. So how are you going to take care of those bills if you're not selling properties every single day or every month or at least every week? That's a tough one, right? You got to wait 30 days just to get your 3 to 6%. Guess what? As an agent here, like myself, right? Then as an agent, what you can do, you're going to actually be able to go ahead and take your um, you're going to be able to take your profits and commissions instantly, right? So here's what I'm saying. If you're an agent and you're doing physical real estate, it may take you 30 days to get your 6%, right? With e-estates, when you have a property, you're going to make your percentage from that property. But when you actually build a team and you have other people that are purchasing properties, right? You're going to get 6% of that. As soon as that property is purchased, you're going to get 6% of that value instantly. Does that make sense? Localized market, complex, global access. If you are property investor with traditional, then it's going to take some time to figure out how to purchase property in another country, right? You hear about Dubai, you hear about the land access, you hear about all the great things that Dubai is offering for people that want to purchase condos and villas and luxury apartments, all that great stuff. You're like, man, I got this money, I got, 200,000, 300,000, and I want to do that. Um, you choose somebody and they rip you off. You want to do that, but you don't know where to go and where to turn. What if you had an opportunity to be part of an e-estate membership? You have access to all the properties that they have listed on the membership site. And when you access that, you see that there's Dubai. You see that there's Los Angeles luxury villas. You see that there's Maui. Like there's Maui, like Hawaii properties, they're going to be booked year round. And you have Phoenix, Arizona business. You have more Dubai. I mean, you have all of these options available to you. So you have all these properties, you have all these properties available to you. And so with that being said, wouldn't e-estates be the better option? Now, I believe that I could literally stop the presentation right now, and I think you would be okay with that. But I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to leave this for a second because I need to answer, see what my wife wants. And then I'll be right back. How about that? because I want you to let this marinate for, a few seconds, okay? All right. Are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready? I think we're ready to roll. All right. So with that being said, let me give you some updates. After 6 months with the program, which was a couple of months ago, because I've been with them, like I said, since June, but I only had my first property purchased in August. And so the 6 months, what was that? Probably February-ish, March, February. And so with that, it's kind of cool to understand the power of what they've done in such a short period of time. And so I'm not going to go through everything, but I do want to highlight some of these things because I think it's important. When I watch the presentation and I see that this really good information is being put out there, I'm like, you know what? It makes sense to include this because there are people out there that like numbers. There are people that look at the analytics, and there are people that want to compare what they're doing to why would I accept an offer to work with somebody in the e-estates, ecosystem. And when you start to understand the power of the program, when you see the growth, when you understand that this is not something that's a fly by night, this is something that is growing and growing and growing, then it gives you a little more, tools, or fuel, if you will, to make an educated decision. And we want you to make the right decision with the information that you have, um, because this is an important decision. This is absolutely a life-changing opportunity if you treat it that way. So today I want to continue this with a performance report. So after 6 months, right? It's been about 8, 9, 10 months or so. But after the first 6 months, we got this report and we got a financial report, like a real deal financial report from the company that shows literally all. They opened up the books and said, this is who we are. This is what we're doing. Really, really powerful. You don't see this from anybody else in this particular online space. So community members. So after 6 months, there's over 10,500 registered users on the site. Many are just purchasers or buyers. And then you have about 1,200 plus. I think right now we got over 2,000 actual agents that are actually purchasing, and they're helping others to purchase their properties and become agents as well. And so that is, it's kind of like being a broker in a regular, real estate industry, helping other agents actually build their business as well. Now, the ESD purchase transactions, over 5,000 completed transactions at that time. And so we know there's many more today. Sold over 2 million EST, which are the tokens that are backed by the actual property. So the EST, the tokens are used to support your ownership in that particular property. And so we're not telling you that you're purchasing the property. We're telling you that you're purchasing the EST, or the tokens that represent the property, right? And so that keeps the lines very clear. Total payouts. Now, you want to hear this. The total payouts in 6 months was over $2,500,000 distributed to the platform users. Did you kind of get that, right? So you have property that you purchased, right? Most of us purchased the LA villa, and you start to make about 0.5% a day from that purchase, and you have actual commissions being paid out as well. And so within the first 6 months, they were paying out over $2.5 million to platform users and buyers that actually have purchased properties. That's pretty significant. Tokenized properties, so they had over 11 properties at the time. Right now, I think they got 11 or 12 properties with a total of issuance of about 10 million ESTs or tokens. Um, and basically what that equates to is there is over $150 million worth of properties on the platform. Like incredible for less than a year. That is phenomenal. I was literally doing some research today and I saw a company that's been doing this for a couple of years and they got 61 million. In estates, within less than the first year, they have over $150 million worth of properties on the platform. Basically, 19% of all EST tokens are sold, which is great. We got a whole lot to go. The operational revenue, right? People want to know, is the company in a surplus? Is the company operational financially? Are they having any challenges? Well, let me tell you this. Management income and capital operations related to EST sales transfer to or translates to a total of $3.6 million in operation and management income or operational capital on and within eState's ecosystem. So you tell me if it's working or not. Now, this is a video that really breaks down the business model, but I don't need to show that because I broke it down when I showed you the comparison between traditional and eState's tokenized business model. So we're going to get into what eStates represents when it comes to compliance, which I think a lot of people want to be assured that they are doing things legally right, they're doing things in compliance, and they're doing things for the long term. And this is what this section will show you. We're talking real properties, we're talking insured, tokenized, audited. All of these things are happening and LEI verified. So this is something that is really, really powerful. Legal entity identify verified. And so you can go to, I think Bloomberg, there's a link that we have we could give to people. If you want to go check that out, you can check that out. And we traditionally we understand that there are platforms out there. There are certain locations, and we know this is registered, but this is not like validated. This place, if you register over here, you don't have to have an actual office. You just have a virtual one. We get all that, right? You can ask all those questions. You can be curious, but at the end of the day, you're gonna get the information that you're looking for, and you'll see the level of compliance based on legitimate registrations and legitimate verifications. eStates is doing things right, and they're expanding by leaps and bounds, and that's what I really want you to see. We're talking about verification standards under the Financial Action Task Force. You're talking AML and KYC. That's mandatory. LEI, like I said, it's already verified internationally to be doing what they're doing. So very powerful. You think that's enough? Not enough. They have just had a strategic expansion, and the company literally they have strategies in place to expand. And I'm going to talk about the future here in a minute to expand into certain strategic locations around the globe because of key factors that, like I said, we don't want to go too deep, but they are doing things very strategically. It's not haphazard. Literally, there's a plan behind every move that they make. And the primary theme behind every move that they make is compliance and regulatory recognition. They're making sure that when we go into a country, when we set up a registration, when we set up a business, if we set up, whatever portion of that, then it has to be for compliance and legal reasons to be in that country. That's what they're doing right now. Just so you understand, this is so important. This is why this slide is here. Strategic expansion into Canada, key location for them. Canada registration. It says in progress, but they already finished that. I just put the wrong slide up there, but they finished that. The state of New York, Department of State. People ask the question, why New York? Why not New York? Like most of these shadow, online operations in the crypto and trading space. They want to open up something over in Wyoming. They want to open up something in Colorado. They want to open up something in Delaware, Nevada. You know why they do that? Because those are locations that you can create a virtual office and not physically have to be there. So we see that a lot, right? But none of them have opened up an office or registration to open an office or do business in the US in New York. Now, if you are leading and want to continue be the leader in the advanced blockchain connection between crypto and tokenization, then why wouldn't you be in the financial capital of the US and arguably the world? New York is the place that you want to be. Wall Street is not, in Delaware. Wall Street is is not in Connecticut. It's not in, Wisconsin. It's in New York. So if you're going to, play at the highest levels, then you definitely want to be registered in New York. And if that wasn't enough, yesterday the CEO sent me a message and said, and he sends it to all of the senior agents, says, "Oh, here's something that we just did." Oh my goodness. First thing I saw was SEC, and I'm like, whoa, wait, let me read this. And there's a link, you can go and check it out. The caveat we make sure people understand. No, they are not registered with the SEC to say that they are verified and validated to trade or to engage in that type of financial activity. What they're showing is we are a tokenization platform. We have filled out the form D, right? And filed that, and they have gotten recognition that yes, we have your information, you are following the rules, right? And so if somebody complains or somebody makes up something that they want to submit, they can come back and say, well, we looked at what they're doing and nope, they're not engaged in securities. And I mean, hey, the Clarity Act is right around the corner. The CFTC has already established that the SEC has no jurisdiction over stable coins because or XRP as well as Bitcoin and Ethereum and a couple others. So that's not going to be an issue because we're not selling or trading tokens. And the tokens are part of the purchase to represent the real estate. So if we were actually purchasing direct, then that could cause some eyebrows rouse, but we're not. And so we're in compliance with the rules, and filing the Form D helps to solidify that we're moving in the right direction. We have not gotten the full confirmation and the full validation of that legal submission, but we are able to file with the SEC. Now, if e-estates is able to do that and they're not scared to do that, I think that we're moving in the right direction. And that's why I'm here to make sure that anybody and everybody out there, if you are having some challenges and you're dealing with these questionable opportunities that people are dragging you into, you got to take a second look. Believe me, there are too many people that I've been working with that I've tapped into that are really good people. And I have had to ask them 2 or 3 times, did you take a look at this? Did you take a look at this? And literally, if you've been in this space as long as me, you know what they do. Next thing you know, they're going to come back and ask you if you would take a look at this trading platform or this other trading platform or this other coding, signal, copy paste, Pam. It's like, could y'all just stop for a second and think about this? Why not do something that's long term and legit, right? So, what does the SEC Form D filing mean? This isn't a stamp of approval, it's proof that we're operating in the right way. And now we can share it openly and say investment or say property fractional ownership or purchase tokens. All of these things are relative because that's what we've established with the SEC. Okay. All right. So it does bring more confidence and more freedom to educate and expand. It's aligned with the long-term sustainable growth, and it's a major step forward for the estate community. Now, we're going to roll into the properties. Yes, that is something that yeah, I created because I want you guys to know that this is the new Green. E-estates is the new green. So let's go. We're talking about properties, right? So if you haven't seen the properties, then these are the properties that's on the actual membership site. So if you want to see these properties, you go ahead and get registered, and you can actually go through and take a look at all of the details and then decide which one makes sense to you so that you can start earning right away. So I'm going to go through just real quick, and then I'll give you some examples of some of the properties. Like I'll break them down. Desert Villa, magnificent. That one's obviously that's in California. Minimum is $1,000. That purchases those EST tokens, and you're in the game at that point. You get to roll and you get to making money every day. And I'll talk about there's two phases of income that you get. So let me hold off and I'll go into that in a minute. There's another property there in Los Angeles. This is really one of the primary properties that most people, when they come into the business, that's the first one that they get. It's for some reason it's a good sweet spot. Then this was traditionally, because it was at the beginning, it's been around for a while. It's got the most tokens. So that one is a key piece of the puzzle. You're going to average about $400 a month with that from the profits. So definitely something that a lot of people will jump on. And I'll talk a little bit more. I'll show you a little bit more about that one in a minute. Villa Maui just came on site because we had a property in Bali, Indonesia. People basically just ate up all the tokens, like bought up all the tokens within a few, maybe 3 or 4 months, and that one was sold out. And so part of that process, people are like, well, what happens when you sell out a property? Like, do we lose our money? Or, people were curious about that. Well, we saw this whole process work, and I have a couple of slides that talk about how the company makes money, and if you do sell a property, what's the buyback process. So that I do have some information on, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But yes, now that the Maui property is on board, a lot of people are looking at that. But what's very, very interesting to me and very powerful as I continue to build and grow and meet so many people and my business is continuing to expand, the level of people that are coming in are a little more savvy about investing. And what's really interesting, I have some people that only focus on the commercial property. Like they buy, like, every few months they have, profits, and they will buy I got somebody that's purchased 5 times that one property. Like that's what they want, right? And their income is over 6,000 a month. That's crazy. But that's what I said, well, we got this property. They're like, nope, I want this one. And so that's what they're doing, right? And so this is something that people, it's totally up to the individual. There's a buyer 1, 2, and 3, and all the way up to 5 strategy that we break down to you. And so you say, hey, look, I have, 10, 20, 30,000 or whatever that I want to invest. And we can give you the strategy on how you can maximize that with our platform, because there's a strategy to how you handle different amounts, right? And so we have a system for that. So you're not left alone. We're not financial advisors, but we understand the strategies that the platform has developed, and we use that to help people make the decisions. And we've been doing this a while, so it's not advisor related in the financial sense. It's just personal finance consulting. You have the business Los Angeles, property. This one is 24,000 and some change. It gives you a really good return if you can see that one. But you're looking at about 4,000 a month average. But there's a scale, right? Floating APY, but it's per day. Then you have the land plot in Los Angeles, which is about 51,000. And so these are different buyer levels that you have to get to, but you can definitely purchase that, and you're going to earn daily on that one as well. People are earning on that one, I think, between 8 and 9,000 a month. So it's really cool, but you get paid every day. So it's pretty awesome. And then I have a couple of people that asked about it, but they haven't made this purchase, the 99,000 in Dubai. Maybe it's because things got a little shaky, so they had to step back. I don't know, but I definitely understand if that's the case. And then you have the elite investment property, which is the $255,000 one. And that's in Dubai as well. And that's going to pay you about 1% a day. So, that's a really, really, really good amount of profit every single day. Now, with the program, what you're going to see is, you know, in when you register and you go into the back office and you can look around your membership site, you'll see the luxury villa, you'll see, the Miami property, you'll see that it's $10, which is one EST, and you can actually, see how everything works and see your profits every day and get excited. And then you go ahead and come to the luxury villa, purchase you a villa, and then you're going to see that you're going to make about 0.5% a day off of that. And that's about the average that we've seen over, last few months or whatever. And this is just a couple of pictures that, we have on the site. There's about 10 or 15 pictures, and there's a video as well. So they're starting to do videos, obviously the drone videos, and you can see the whole property, which is really amazing when you look at the Maui one. Oh man, it's just, whoo, it's fascinating. Right. But this was in LA, and so you can see the outside, you see the kitchen area, really nice. You see the pool area right there. I mean, I have about 10 or so video pictures on this, and I have the video on my Facebook as well as Telegram. So you can see all of that information. It's really nice, really nice. But that gives you an idea what that looks like, really, really nice. Now we do have the Villa Maui. So this right here is just a different level of transparency. So like the traditional side, you have the detailed report, right? So with e-estates, what they've started to do, they have the videos that show the property, and now we have the tokenized property disclosure and asset report. So they show you a lot more details about the pricing and how much it's renting for and the occupancy. And so when you're an investor, these are information points that help you to make the right decision, right? And so this is just giving you a little highlight of what these look like, but they're really detailed. But I just grabbed a couple of slides just to show you a little bit about it. This property is valued at $3.3 million, right? And in this context, this is where the traditional side of property investment and e-estates, tokenized real estate, this is where it really, really comes clear, right? We know that like with Trump Towers, we got that. We got a property out in Miami that Anthony talks about, that it's $100,000 minimum to get one of the luxury villas, like a condo, right? That's just property investment, right? And you have to be an accredited investor, and you might get 10% a year from that property. So think about that for a second. If you wanted to get into a $3.3 million property, let's say the minimum was 100,000 and you got to be an accredited investor, right? If you want to know about that, talk to me later. $100,000 minimum. And they're going to give you a return about 10% a year, right? Less than 1% a month, you're going to earn off of that. But you only get paid every 90 days because, somebody occupies it, they get some profits off of that, some rental payments, whatever. And so you're making a little bit every 90 days. So you might make 3% every 90 days, right? So $100,000, 10% a year return. So you're making about $10,000 a year, right? On that. But you had to put $100,000 into it. What if with our organization, with e-estates, you come in here, we're going to give you this range, 0.4 to 0.6% a day, right? We're going to give you an 18-month contract. Then we're going to give you an additional contract for the life of the property. But just on the monthly, if you're earning about 0.5% a day, and we're paying 20 to 21 days a month, right? So 0.5, 20. So let's say you're making between 10 and 12% a month on this same property that you had to pay $100,000 for. Let's say you put the $100,000 into this one and you did it with e-estate. What would your 100,000 be at 10 to 12% a month? If you're going to get 100,000 times 10% a year on the traditional side, you're making that per month with e-estate. This is the not financial advice, not investor advice. I'm just giving you the numbers. I'm giving you the facts. This is how it works if you take the right steps in this particular ecosystem. It's that simple, right? How much does it cost for you to even get into a property like this? With e-estates, about $5,000, you could start earning the very next day in the Maui property compared to $100,000 minimum on the physical side, the traditional side, in a villa that costs you maybe the same. For $5,000, you can say, I'm a global investor in a high income producing asset in Maui, Hawaii, the best vacation place in the world. This is what we do. About that two-phase income model. So, talking about that, let me break it down for you. So, as a person that purchases the fractional shares or fractional ownership through the EST token with the eStates ecosystem, any property, you're going to earn between 6 and 20% per month. Where does that number come from? The minimum based on the daily rate, right? Calculated out to be 1 month. So you have the Miami property, which is our lowest producing property. You may get about 6 to 7% a month, right? Now you go all the way to the property in Dubai, the $255,000 property. So if that's paying you 1%, you're looking at about 20 to 21% per month, depending on what month, right? And so that's the range that you're gonna make money. Now, there's other bonuses and things like that, but that's basically what you're gonna earn per month. So you gotta kind of consider if you put $200,000 into a property and you're getting 20%, then obviously you're looking at about 40,000 a month. So pretty awesome right there. Obviously, the 6% is still great because the minimum you're going to make with e-estates is 72% a year, right? The most you're going to make on the physical traditional side with a high investment and illiquid, property return is 10 to 12, maybe 15% a year. So you got to think about this and just be realistic about it. Now, after that happens, that's an 18 month, you're going to get this active everyday profits, right? So 18 months go by and the property has not been sold, it's still there. Then it's going to shift from that because here's where the sustainability comes in and go to the phase two part of the model. This is pure passive income here. This is that lifetime income that you've been looking for. So you're going to enjoy 10% per year for life income from your particular property investments. So, how does that work? Well, every 6 months, you're going to get paid 5%. So, let's say you have one property, then whatever amount you purchased, then you're going to get 5% of that and 5% of that twice a year. Now, over the 18 months, I already have, personally, I have about 10, I think about 10 properties purchased personally. My team with over 100. So a lot of people have, 10, 20 purchases like personally. So you got to think about that. Over the 18 months, you're probably going to purchase more properties. Let's say you have 10 properties and equals out to be, $50,000 of investment. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to get 10% of that every year. Every year, you're going to get that no matter what you do. So basically, what happens at the end of the 18 months, you probably got additional properties that's still got another 18 months. So you're going to continually earn because when you purchase one, through the EST token, then that's going to start the 18 months all over again. So it's not 18 months and then all of a sudden you only have 5,000. No, it doesn't work that way. You're going to make that plus that, right? So let's say you got 5 properties or 10 properties that are still got, 6 to 18 months left and you continue purchasing a few here or there. Well, now you're making 1% or 10% off of the ones that already went past the 18 months. So you could easily be making, on average, let's say you're making about $6,000 a month based on your active income, and then you have these that already matured over the first 18 months. Now you're earning another 5,000 a year from that. So you're going to continue making that 6,000 plus every 5 months, you're going to get another 3,000 on top of that if you do nothing else. But most people are going to continue reinvesting and making more money. But that's the beauty of the program. You're not out there trying to sell properties to strangers. You're not out there chasing somebody for your rent. You're not, chasing them down because they just blew up your toilet. They didn't mow the yard. The neighbors are complaining. You got to pay fees. None of that equates to convenience, retirement, or passive. But what e-estates provides is a clean, crisp, passive income that you can rely on literally for the entirety of your financial life. Your family and your grandkids can inherit your particular account if something happens to you. And that's just another level of protection that, we get into as we go. But there's always going to be some doubters. There's always going to be some people that say, what if? What if I tell you that I'm in this program over here, like in this trading project, and they're paying me 3% a day, man? Like, why would I join this when, I can make, you know, more money over in these high ROI trading platforms? Signal, copy paste. I mean, why would I do this, right? So here's something that I thought I'd put together and just present to you. When somebody says this is something that, you can kind of go over with them, right? Because there's a difference between tokenized real estate and high yield crypto platforms. The problem with those particular platforms, one, is all speculation. You don't know what's real or not. Just like any other crypto stocks, funds, whatever, it's speculation. You're speculating that it's going to go up or it might go down. That's what the trading platforms do. Most of them aren't real anyway. The bots are quasi real. They may have purchased a bot, they may have purchased a plan and hope that that bot does what it's supposed to do. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm gonna be very transparent and tell you. Probably in the last year or so, I had somebody very reputable said, "Hey, check this out. Here's something that works." I said, "Okay, cool." Diversification, right? Secondary, something that I don't even have to look at. Boom, make a deposit and let it do its thing. Sounded good. Checked them out. Everybody seems to be on the up and up. I made the deposit. Within, I would say it was a challenge just getting everything set up because of whatever. And I would say within 2 days, I put in X amount, and that very next day, literally like 2 days, I checked and I had lost everything except for about $50. And I'm looking at this like, I wait a minute. But what it does is it reminds me this is not what EState. EState doesn't trade tokens. It's not in the trading game. When you say trading with real estate, it's not speculating. It's not um, margin. It's not, fronting the market. This is different, right? And we'll get into that. That's a different conversation. But I'm just giving you an example of personally, recently, I literally went through a lot to get set up in that particular platform. And the guy was walking me through everything, really nice guy. And literally within a couple of days, everything I put in there was down to like $50. And I'm like, what happens when it goes to zero because something went wrong? Oh, you got to add more funds. Not what I'm doing. These are things that I experience. This is real. So when I say speculative, when I say that token inflation, this is based on, these are like the meme coins, and somebody tells you, look, this node has, launched. You can purchase this node for $1,000. You can purchase nodes for, $4,000, and all these people are purchasing these nodes, and the price of the coin goes up, 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 and then about 3 or 4 months in, the price of the token starts to go down, down, down. You're like, wait a minute, what happened? Like we've been selling these things, $1,000, $9,000, $40,000, and now it goes from 6, 7, 8, almost $10, and now it's down to 30 cents. Dude, this is not how tokenomics works, right? So these are the challenges that you have when somebody says, hey man, I can get 1% a day, I can get 1.3% a day, I can get 8% a day, I can get 5% a day. No matter what they're doing, it's not working. there's a lack of intrinsic value as well, right? High risk means the harder they fall, which is a death spiral. When it starts to go down, it doesn't stop. When I saw the token go up to $6 or $7 in one program, another one it went up to $10 and more, and it dropped all the way down to less than $1 in about a 4 to 5 month period. And it's supposed to be going up. These are happening every day, right? So why would you choose EState as your vehicle? One, it has intrinsic value. The EST token is tied to a real world asset like luxury villas in Hawaii and Dubai and LA. And this is real. People pay and we earn from the pool of money that's collected from these properties. Sustainable yield. What I just showed you, phase one, phase two. This is so powerful. You have to get this. If you've been in this space for a while, you'll understand when you have income from real properties, right? And they do that. Here, we're going to split this for 18 months. We're going to split this profit. 18 months. You're going to get paid every day. You're going to 2 to 3x your deposit. At the end of that, you've already got your money back plus some. They say, okay, now we're going to go to a 10% a year. We're going to make sure the company can continue functioning with this money, but we're going to give you 10% versus 72%. Do you see the sustainability there? Absolutely. Risk mitigation and legal security. These guys are well compliant. I showed you the compliance. I showed you the LEI verified. I showed you the SEC application. I showed you, all of the compliance things that they're following. They're doing it right. This is why this is the better choice, right? Estates helps you to embrace the wealth and preserve your wealth and grow your wealth and become wealthy, not become the person that says, man, not again. Now, so this is a beautiful thing. This is where we're at. And so I want to talk a little bit about how e-estates generates buyer income, right? So these are some of the things that you may see on other presentations. And I said, okay, I need to incorporate this so that there's some consistency across the board. But I really wanted to have something out there for people that do ask me about it. And they say, hey, can you just send me a good presentation on that? So this is really why I want to make sure we got some consistency when you see these particular presentations. It covers all the information that you need. So how does estate generate buyer income? Well, I've explained a lot of that already, so I'm not going to go too detailed. But at the end of the day, there are two detailed PDFs, presentations that you can go into as a member. You go into your knowledge base and you go into documentation, and you have a buyer side and you have an agent side. And this is where that information resides. You can really, really understand the whole platform. You can understand all the ecosystem when you go through both of these. And I recommend that if you're going to be a member and you're going to be an investor, you want to know what you're doing. And these are the documents that will give you that information. So income distribution through a dedicated participant payout fund. This is so, so, so important, right? ESAs operates a structured income distribution model in which participant earnings are paid from a dedicated participant payout fund or a pool of money. It's so critical to understand because people ask the question, how is this sustainable? If nobody's renting that particular property, how are you going to make money? All those things come up all the time. The fund is designed to accumulate revenue generated across the ecosystem and systematically distribute income to token holders in accordance with the predefined rules and asset performance. That's why the smart contract and the blockchain is so critical to making sure people get paid quickly and correctly. The payout fund, right? The pool of money that all of these assets dump into is replenished through real economic activity linked to real estate assets and capital operations, ensuring that the participant income remains asset backed and operationally supported. That you have to get. Like that sums it all up. I don't need to go into all of the other things and the scenarios because the only thing that it talks about here in the other sections is when a property is sold, like I said, when all the tokens are bought, they can opt to sell that property or you just keep making money off of it, one or the other. And so they've sold one of the properties and people got their actual deposits back as well as they kept the profits that they were making. So it's pretty cool. Now they can take that same amount of money and go buy a new property if they want. capitalization and asset backing. And so you have the option to compound your particular um, property purchase, right? Or token purchase of a property. And so that matures in 18 months. So you're going to compound for 18 months and then you'll be able to go ahead and capitalize those funds. Okay. So that's how that works. Now, in addition to that, you do have three-step income generation model, right? And so I know you see that chart on the left, and you can go through that if you like, but that is what they call the trading activity. So basically purchasing these properties, tokenizing these properties, and what's that value, right? So each property it carries a certain value, and that's what that's basically showing you. So I just wanted to put that there, for informational purposes. I'm not going to spend the time going through that. But here's the three-step model. Very simple, very, very direct. You purchase the tokens linked to a specific asset. So you go to the site, like all the properties I showed you, you pick one and you purchase the tokens, right? Everything is in tokens. The participant acquires EST that's linked to a specific real estate asset for each tokenized property. A fixed and limited number of tokens is issued in advance with a base price of $10 per one EST. Okay. Now, all that's recorded on the blockchain. You get full transparency, independent verification, you get permanent traceability, you get a contract of that particular purchase. That's solid, right? It's on the blockchain, it's done. You can go to Binance Smart Chain and you can look at the transaction on the blockchain. So it's solid. Number two, real estate asset generate economic value. Okay. So the underlying real estate asset generate income through multiple sources. So this is how we make money. Rental income from residential, commercial, and um, mixed properties, right? Mixed use. So you got the residential and you got the commercial, right? So that's one way. Another way is capital appreciation driven by market growth and asset repositioning. So that's another way. Okay. Because they purchase the property and the higher level, like the 255,000, or the 99,000. So let's say they are building, some construction or whatever. So by the time that thing is built and they sell, let's say they don't keep it. Let's say the developer wants to sell it. Well, now it's gone. The contract is null. They sold it. Now you get, whatever you get from it, and the company will basically pay you, but they'll pay you a percentage on top of that, right? For the ones that are bought and then developed and sold, instead, if you're not making money on a monthly basis, then they'll go ahead and pay you a percentage on that capital percentage. Um, Active capital deployment of proceeds generated from EST tokens or sales managed through real estate transactions and value creation strategies, right? So these are the three ways that they generate economic value, which translates into profits, basically. So, number three, income distribution to participants. So, after one is happening, number two happens, and now income accumulated in the payout fund is distributed to the participants according to the asset life cycle. Daily income distributions during the active phase, and then on a semi-annual income distribution during the passive phase, just like we talked about earlier. Simple as that, right? Now, let's talk about the future real quick. Global expansion and trust. So there is a 10-year paper that they show the roadmap, and you can see that in the back office, or you can contact me and I'll send you a copy. And I just took out 2026. Since we're in 2026, let's see, what we're doing, where we're going, at least in 2026. One, hosting the EStates Miami Summit. We know that happened early 2026. Really great media coverage. So there's so much media coverage. We have like a whole Telegram group of all media. So if you want to see some of that information, I can send that to you, or you can look at my previous video and I talk about who's talking about EStates, and some of the articles are there. Tokenization of new asset class. So they got apartments expanding into residential investment properties. So they're just adding obviously more properties and expanding into other asset classes. So that's happening as well. A 10-year strategic partnership agreements. So this is happening right now. There are, I think, about 4 or 5 strategic partners, and they basically sign agreements saying that, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to be part of the fabric of growing this business, and we're going to do it in this way. And so that's why you'll see, like I said, the Brendan Ivies, he's brought on as the person that teaches crypto to the community. So he has a valuable asset that he delivers for the company. And then you have Anthony Deloach, which was the first strategic partner. Then you have Vaughn Morrill, and then you have there's a new lady, Dinah. I forget her last name, but she just became a strategic partner. You got Daryl Porter, which is a strategic partner as well. Obviously, my sponsor, Martin McLean, and so those are some of the things that's going on right there. So that's happening already. Development of a fully featured mobile application is on its way, App Store and Google Play, replacing the initial version. Tokenization of villas, expanding premium real estate offerings. So that's like the Maui villa, which is really really premium, very very nice. Then the desert villa is very nice as well. So those are some new properties that they've went into the kind of the premium level. Organization of at least 10 regional live events. We got the 10 city tour going on right now, and we're going to go international in the future, hosting of the first World Tokenized Real Estate Forum. Well, in November, that was the plan, right? And so they're just, looking at, and we get the vote on the location. So that's something that's going on. Launch of the E-Estate Ambassador Program. That's something that we've heard about, and we know that they're getting ready to do that. Um, that's going to be pretty cool. I know who got my vote. Expansion of tokenized property types to include commerce, business centers, land plots, and development projects. So they're just continuing to grow. They've hit a lot of these, and I know that we have, obviously we're in the first quarter, so there's some other are getting into the second quarter. So there's a lot of great things and some time to go ahead and develop them as well. So that's pretty cool. Great video we won't be looking at right now. So real quick, that video was important because it does transfer into what I'm going to talk about here. So yes, I know we've been on a little while, and so I want to do one last piece so that you can get a really good understanding of. We got the buyer side. I think we've covered that really well. I've given you a lot more detail about how e-estates works, how we get paid, all of those details I really wanted to lay out for you. So I appreciate your patience. Now I want to get into, now that you see that piece, and you may be a networker, you may be a real estate agent, and you may work for maybe an organization, or you may work for a broker, or work for one of the real estate agencies out there. And so you're having to share, your profits and your commissions and things like that. Well, I want to show you a way that you can still do that, right? Because I know that you really, there are special people out there that take care of people like myself. When I want to go buy a new house, I really appreciate the person and what they do. So definitely not taking this away from anybody. But if you can, while you're doing that, come home at night and open up your computer and see that you just earned another 6% because you had somebody, not in California, not in Texas, maybe somebody in Canada that purchased a property that you introduced to them. And now you just got another 6% from an agent that you don't really know. That's pretty cool, right? Because they're going to make money off of their property. You're going to make money as well. And when you hit agent level 4, which I'll show you in a minute, you're going to make a percentage of their percentage, which is really cool. It's like a matching bonus. So when you go from passive to ultra passive, there's going to be a new term after a while, from residual to passive to ultra passive income. Then, man, it's going to get crazy. So when we talk about that wave of wealth, now you really are up on top riding with your classical, surfboard, and somebody's going to say, look, man, I didn't even know you knew how to surf. Well, when you're making the matching income, and you're getting paid from, people in 10 different countries every single day, I think you're going to get some respect. So let's talk about this agent opportunity, because I know we're talking to people that are next level. We're talking to people that want more. And I'm looking at like my mantra over here says, I'm the master of my own destiny, but I'm God's tool for greatness, right? So I don't doubt myself. I elevate myself. And this is key to being an agent. Now, why do you see this ARDR right there, right? That's the Association for Real Digital Realtors. And that right there is you become part of the association when you become an agent. So you may ask the question, well, how do I become an agent? Well, you apply. It's very simple, right? We don't have a test right now, but we do recommend that you read about the agent opportunity and you read about the buyer opportunity so you can actually sell this particular the properties to people that want them. People want to invest. You are the person that will be able to provide that information to them. So you become a licensed agent. You basically, there's a membership fee. So you do the online application. How do you do that? When you log in, and somebody gives you a link, you go to the site, and it's going to say become an agent. It's going to say it a lot. After you become an agent, it's still going to say become an agent. So there's a many ways you can become an agent. You'll see it right there. You're already going to be a buyer. That's automatic. You do the verification. You got your email verification. You got your code and all these things. You're good to go to purchase property. We recommend becoming an agent because the volume and bonuses that come along with that are going to be outstanding. And you don't want to miss out on that. Therefore, when you first sign up, it says become an agent. You click that button, you get the verification. When you click that button, you pay the $90 for 1 year, right? $90 for a year. And then you go through the application process. They're going to ask questions. You fill out the information. You build your landing page. So if you want to share the information with them, you with people, you have a link. You share the information. Guess what? They're going to see your profile, and they're going to be like, "Ooh, I like this guy. I want to work with him." Right? Boom, boom, boom. Then they'll go ahead and sign up with your information, and every time they make a purchase, you're going to get a percentage of it. So it's pretty cool, right? So you just get to basically go through the steps, and it's right there on the site. It's really easy, no problem, right? Now, let's get to the good part. I don't know if anybody's with me on the live, but hey, it's all good. I know, this is how I roll. I want to make sure you're getting all the good information, right? So, got a little bit, maybe about 10 minutes left and we'll be done. Agent compensation. There are four, basically ways that the agent is going to make some money, okay? Um Deal commissions, profit commissions, you got agent bonuses, and you got these token rewards, right? So when you meet certain milestones, you're going to get these tokens, 100 here, 100 there, really good stuff. You get to spin the wheel. It's pretty awesome. I'll let you experience that on your own. Let's talk about deal commissions and profit commissions. Let's say that you sign up, you become an agent, you pay the $90, you go through and get all the application stuff done. You got your nice website. After that happens, and you have a few people that say, man, look, I've been wanting to invest in real estate forever, just really didn't have the money to do it, really didn't understand, why there was a problem with me getting access to all this good information and, just too many challenges. But man, I watched you talk about how that this tokenized real estate makes it very easy and it looks pretty easy. So sign me up. They sign up. They say, look, I want that property over there in Phoenix, that $10,000, $270 property, and that's gonna, pay me about $1,500 a month or so. I kind of like that. Okay, cool. They sign up, they get registered, everything is good to go. They buy the property. Guess what happens? Instantly, you get 6%. So when you're looking at your back office, you got a main balance, and the purchase is made, and then you look at your property or assets, you look at your commissions as an agent, and you see the numbers move. And you're like, whoa, that's cool. Where did that come from? You scroll down, you see your client list, you can look at that, it'll tell you who did it, or you can look at some other, operations in there and you can see, the transactions. So everything is detailed, everything is there. You get this follow where those profits are coming from. That happens. Really a good feeling. You definitely want to experience that. Now, let's take it to the next level. When you hit agent level 4, right? And the funny thing is, it's not on this page, it's on the next page, but we'll show you that in a minute. But agent level 4 opens up their profit commissions. So you got deal commissions, which is somebody purchases a property, you get 6% of that first level. Then when that person brings somebody on and they purchase a property, they're going to get the 6%, you get 2%, and so on and so on and so on. Now, when you hit agent level 4, there's a volume requirement to get to agent level 4. When that happens, that person on your first level makes a purchase, right? You get 6%. If they purchase, say they purchased the LA villa and they're making $20 a day or something like this. Well, out of that $20 profit that they get, you're going to get 5% of that. How cool is that? Right? So that's what's going on with the deal commission and the profit commissions. Okay. So let me give you a better understanding of the levels because I said agent level 4. Okay. So that's where you want to be. So agent level 1 is when you purchase a property. So when I say if you purchase the $3,000 property, which is the LA villa, most people do that coming in. You purchase that as an agent, you're going to earn the agent level 2. When you earn the agent level 2, that means that they're going to give you 150 ETK. These are actual tokens that you can use to do what we say spin the wheel. And you can spin that wheel and it basically gives you an opportunity to win money. It's crazy, isn't it? So you can win up to $1,000 on that wheel. As long as you got 100 ETK, you can spin the wheel. Okay, and you can basically win up to $1,000. It's pretty cool. And they're going to give you $30, like right off the bat. So when you make the purchase of the LA villa, you're going to look in there and say, where did that come from? Because you made the purchase, you haven't got any profit on that yet, but you got $30 and you got 150 ETK instantly. Pretty cool, huh? That's a good thank you for joining the team. Now, to get to agent level 4, you can either purchase, like I said earlier, you purchase that $10,000 property, you instantly become an agent level 3, and you get the $100 plus the $30 because you passed agent level 2, and you get 250 plus 150 of the tokens. Okay. Now, after you do that, you open up buyer level 2. That buyer level 2, not agent level, buyer level 2, right? Because you're already there and you want to purchase another property, or you have, somebody come in and they purchase $25,000 worth of property or $15,000 worth of property. As long as you're over 25,000, you become an agent level 4. When you become an agent level 4, you're going to get the 250. You already got the 100, you already got the 30. Now you get the 250. Okay. That's another bonus. And you get 500 ETK, which is going to give you 5 chances to spin the wheel. And possibly you can make and win $1,000 per spin. Pretty amazing. I haven't, been able to win over $10, but that's okay. You know what? We'll we'll keep it going. So that's what happens at agent level 4. You open up that particular level, right? That I mentioned earlier. Agent level 4, 25,000 in volume. If you do it or if somebody else does it and your team grows, then as long as you're over 25,000, you will be able to benefit on 5% of the profits that your team earns on level 1. And then if they bring in somebody level 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, you get 2%, 1%, but you're still going to earn extra because you hit agent level 4. Okay. Now, when you open up agent level 5, then you get another level. Agent 6, another level. All the way down. When you open up agent level 8, you open up all of the levels that you just saw. Okay. So it opens up one at a time, right? And so I'm at agent level 6 at the moment, and I'm zooming in. I'm about, 70, 75% into agent level 7. So I'm hoping to hit that pretty soon. Um, so definitely, if you want to be, part of that excitement, then, go ahead and sign up when you get my link at the end of the presentation and contact me, and I'll walk you through the process, and you'll be making money within 24 hours. It's pretty awesome. So these are the agent levels. Like I said, this is the initial presentation that we had. Now, in the actual PDF, it shows 20 levels. Why? Because my sponsor hit agent level 10 within the first 6 months. So they were like, that's quick. We're going to have to build something bigger. And so now he's at agent level 12, which is pretty cool, right? And so, I know you see this revenue share on the side, on the left side. And so, yeah, everything you do, you get 100% volume number on, right? If you put in $10,000, you purchase a property, you get 10,000 in volume numbers. Okay. That helps you get your agent level bonuses. Now, when somebody on your first level that you directly sponsor, when they make a purchase, you get 80% of that volume. They're going to get 100%, you get 80% of that. So those numbers add up. Okay. So that's what it is. You get yours and you get, some from your team. And so those numbers all add up to your agent levels, which is very, very cool. And so the more you put in, then obviously the higher you're going to go and quicker. And then your first level is 80%. And then your third, or second level, you're going to get 40% of what happens on that level as far as volume. So it's pretty amazing. But what I really want to dive into is at the end of the day, we've talked about all this stuff. Now it's time for you to make a decision. Do you want to get started? Do you want to be excited about passive earnings every single day? Or would you rather take that 100,000 that you have and put it into the traditional side because you feel like it's so much more secure? I don't know where you've been, but in the last, 10 years, that's been two major failings by the US and other governments and agencies that did not benefit the person that had that amount of money in that system. I think that's a problem. And I think you really need to understand the reason why these type of presentations and events are going on is because people have seen the light. And now there are people in our organization that are putting in 40,000, 60,000, doing deposits every day, 100,000. And I'll show you some of the people that are at these different levels and basically how they were able to get there so fast. Really powerful stuff. It works. People are making money every day. There's no issues with the payments. It's just the place to be right now. And once you get in, once you start seeing that happen, the only thing you will think about is thanking the person that invited you and didn't stop following up with you. That right there to me is key because the reason why somebody follows up is because they care. They don't follow up because they want to pester you. They don't follow up because they don't got nothing better to do. They follow up because they care about you. That's why they're following up because they're already making money. They're not looking to just go out and make money off of people. No, because this is a very, very robust program to where I put my money in, I'm going to make my profits. And I make more money doing that than going out there and chasing people down. And you know the headache from chasing people down. Nobody wants to do that, right? So that's not why people invite you. People invite you because they care about you. And you have to think about that because they're going to make their money with or without you. So why would they need to chase you when that's just extra headache for no reason? So you really got to look at this thing differently. And that's why I have respect for people in sales, I don't get mad at them unless they're calling me on the phone because that whole, telemarketing is definitely not the way to go. But if I go into a store or go to a used car dealer, then respect, right? Because I know they are really trying to do what they got to do to earn a living. And that's a beautiful thing. But if they could take that same effort and put it into an investment, right? And then they can go and do whatever they do, one day they're going to walk away from that stress because their passive income is going to be so great. That's what makes me feel good about what I do, right? Registration and verification, choose your investment, and then acquire the tokens, fund your account, and then sit back and earn on your property. It's just that simple. Now, some people want to know, well, where can I hear more about this? Look, I didn't have a chance to get all of that, Rashid, because that was a very long presentation that you did in live stream. I just want to, I want to get on with somebody live and you know, hear this firsthand. No problem. This is the list right here. If you need a Spanish presentation, we got that. If you need English, everybody's doing that. Um, I got somebody do it in Arabic. We got somebody in Ghana. We got somebody in Kenya. We got somebody in South Africa. Where do you need somebody? We can make that work for you. But as you can tell, it says Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 7 days a week. There is at least two presentations going on. That is amazing. Like, where in the world does that happen except right here? And Anthony Deloach and Vaughn, they have been doing it since June of 2025. Tell me, if you weren't committed and if you weren't at a level of belief in this particular organization, would you be doing at least two presentations every single day for this organization, for that one same organization? You got to think about that. That is powerful. That says a lot. Now, what else it says? Miami Summit was powerful. We were in Miami. We was at the location of the property, the villa in the Icon Brickell, Miami area. Beautiful place, right? People making money off that every day. We were able to go inside and walk around. Guess what? Anthony did a video that you'll see on YouTube that he walked in there and he actually walked around the villa and talked about the villa and talked about the opportunity. So you can physically see one of the properties in that video. And this was in Miami. Somebody that got all the, some pictures there. My little pictures there down to the left. So if you want to find me, there I am. Um, like I said, the 10 city tour. That's one of the goals for 2026. That's what we're doing. Houston is coming up April 25th, 20, yeah, April 25th. We was in Miami, they were in Raleigh, they were in Atlanta, that was off the chain. And Houston, we're taking it up a notch. My team is gonna really rock this thing. So I'm really excited about Houston. I'm from East Texas, so I gotta be there. Um, you know, got- yeah, that's me right there. But you got the strategic partners in the house. You got Daryl Porter right there. You got Anthony DeLoach. They're literally doing all of these. And then in Washington, what's going down is that's our 1 year anniversary. And the CEO was like, "Look, we're pulling out all the stops. We're going to make this as big as it can be." And so he's really looking forward to everybody, packing the house. They're going to have a lot of gifts, a lot of giveaways, a lot of speakers. It's going to be amazing. So yeah, I'll be a speaker at the event as well, and so I'm just totally excited about that. So definitely, I just need my team to grow as big as it can, so we can all basically just take over the whole area in DC. That's going to be fun. All right, so here's just a little bit. Anthony, when he does his presentations, he acknowledges, a lot of the people out there, his team and other teams, and just, everybody that's been leveling up. Look, I can't put everybody on the screen. I didn't have time to go through every single person that's posted up, but I just wanted to highlight, some of my team and then really just the leaders out there that's making a difference. I don't think some of these guys understand or ladies understand the impact that they have beyond their local network, so to speak. It's really powerful. It's really powerful, and I acknowledge that, and I respect that, and I appreciate that, and I'm excited about that because that's what we are, here to do is really help everybody, and that's what the teams are about. A lot of us are just cross, teams. We're not under each other, but we just help each other when we can. And when somebody asks, we got good people that are contributing to the solution. So that's really, really great. But yeah, real quick, this left side, yes, these are pretty much all of leaders in my team. As you can tell, without a doubt, the purple stands out. So yes, my good friend from high school, actually, Marnitha Scott, Mama Scott, she is rocking. She is rolling. She has close to 100 members, about I think about 15 or so agents already, people that's already agent level 4, and she's the 6. We got an agent level 5 right there down, Kenny, right there. Kenny's brought in an agent level 4 and a 5 and a 3, um, just crushing it, right? From day one, like amazing from day one. My good friend Adrian Kendrick, she's rolling with me. She's been rolling with me. Thinking we've been through thick and thin, and massive respect. She came in the gates and just said, "Let's do this." And she's brought in a couple of people. You know, she's not a big networker, but she's serious about investing and her passive income. And so she's doing really, really well. And so I'm really proud of her and excited for her and what she's going to do. We got Alina down here that Elena that came in with Mama Scott and her team. She's rocking and rolling from day one. She hit the gates and she just took off. We got these other teams. Looks like Jason and Letitia Reese. Proud of them coming on in doing their thing. Brandon Jackson has is taking it to another level. Chris Russell is rocking and rolling. My good friend Mahmoud there from Egypt. He just had, like I said, a really nice local event. So we had a opportunity to get on a Zoom there and help them out. We got Agent Antoine up there doing big things in East Texas. We got the agents over here. I can't see the name, but a couple over there. I think it's Nicole Jackson. I think it is with her man, and then the incredible Summer. I love that name, Summer. Doing great, doing great. Appreciate all of you. And there's so many more, but like I said, I can't fit them all in there. So definitely appreciate the level of expertise. My good friend Marshall is in. My cousin PJ, he's rocking it. Um, my aunt, it's amazing how people they see what you're doing and then they'd say, hey, I got some money I want to invest, and that's all. They don't want to do nothing else. Hey, where do I put the money? And they just step back and let it grow. So that was pretty cool to have my aunt get involved, and just so many great people that's on board. So I appreciate you guys. I don't have your pictures, but I appreciate you. I got my man Daryl and Anthony right there. May 30th. That's going to be in in Tampa. They're going to be in Tampa. I'm gonna try to make that one as well. We got Marnita Casa, which is relative to Brandon Ivy. When I watched his trainings and before e-estates and all of this, then that's when I got to know Marnita, and she is amazing. She is a good spirit, just a great person, and she's the right person to introduce. The sessions with Brandon Ivy. Really, really critical to that success. Um, my sponsor, which is Martin McLean, there, agent level 12. Yes, I chose to put that picture just because I was having fun. But he's outstanding, and he's representing very well the leadership, and so definitely appreciate everything that he's done, and appreciate him following up with me and not kicking me to the wayside when I kept kind of avoiding him. Pretty awesome. Agent level 11. So yes, Daryl Porter, agent level 10. Anthony, agent level 9, probably about to be a 10. Um, and Chelsea, the impact that Chelsea has is having on like everybody is like, oh my gosh, where did she come from? Because she just took off like a rocket, right? She hit agent level 10 and then almost rolled over and hit 11 like instantly. Like it was crazy. But we're really excited for anybody and everybody that can produce at this level. Really, really amazing what we see happening in this space. And I'm gonna tell you, because of e-estates, because of tokenization, because of a quality platform that provides level of compliance and regulatory, efforts that they've put out there to make sure people are secure in their belief of this program and what it does. You just can't dismiss the value that they bring and the value of all the great people that we see here and the ones that we don't see here. We respect you, we acknowledge you, and we look for you to do more amazing things as we grow along, right? So I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you. I welcome you to be part of Team Achieve. If you have any questions, I'm happy to address them. If you want to know more about what we're doing, you can definitely get in touch with me. Go to the website. We have great, 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 great people that do presentations every single day. Jump on a call, listen in, and then contact me afterwards and say, "Hey, Rashid, I saw your video. I jumped on one of the calls, and Anthony was just amazing. Vaughn was answering all my questions. You know, Brandon Ivy, the education is second to none. It whoever, right? A lot of times when I get off of my job, it's like 5 o'clock. I listen in with on a Monday, Daryl Porter. That timing is perfect, right? So everybody is doing something at a time that everybody has an opportunity to get on the calls. And that's what we have to do. And no matter how much I learn and I know and how much I've, been involved in experiences all this time, guess what? A great leader is a great follower. And so we continue to follow the great people that's doing this thing. And I look forward to you being one of the leaders on my team. All right. So we can work hand in hand and we can change some lives. All right. Hey, peace. And until next time, I just want to leave you with this.
Yeah, listen up. Let's elevate. Future moves. We tokenize. Real estate. Yeah. From zero to hero, I'm building my lane. Digital hustle, stacking my game. No need millions, no need stress. Just one click, now I'm blessed. Phone in my hand, keys in the cloud. Smart investment, standing proud. From city lights to beachfront view. Fractional ownership, that's the move. Tokenize, watch the elevate. Turning small dreams into real estate. Crypto vibes, but solid ground. Digital money, physical town. Blockchain records clean and tight. Transparent deals day and night. No fake talk, no hidden fee. Every token working for me. Passive income, let it flow. Plant the seed, watch money grow. From grind to shine, I'm in control. Tokenized property, that's my goal. Tokenize, watch me elevate. Turning small dreams into real estate. From the phone to the gate, welcome to the future. Tokenize, real estate. Yeah, invest smart, don't hesitate. Next level wealth, tokenize, real estate.
All right. Hey, that's a wrap. Peace. And I'll see you on the next one.